keep what you know works. What you know is a good service.
Because we're not doing that. So please proceed in disconnecting our service.
You don't want a good service? You don't want something that works?
No, I don't. I guess I don't want something that works.
I'll go ahead and disconnect this service. Okay.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's really a shame to see you go to something that can't give you what we can.
Okay, so that's just a small portion of what some people are calling the customer service call from hell. That Comcast customer spent 18 minutes on the phone trying to cancel his service. They went around and around in circles for 18 minutes, and that's why the call has gone viral. Comcast has since apologized for the representative. They say his actions are not consistent with how their employees are trained. But let's be honest, we have all been there. This is not the first time that someone has come across a scary so-called customer service representative. So how exactly should you deal with them? Is there any way to get to really the best place with them? So for some advice, we check in with Mary Beth Quirk. She's from consumerist.com. Mary Beth, hello to you. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, of course.
You know, you hear this relentless questioning. This Comcast representative was not letting him go for 18 minutes, asking him why he wants to cancel his service. I mean, first and foremost, does this strategy ever work for companies?
I think it works more often not when someone keeps pushing you until you want to go crazy, but when they start to offer you some kind of incentive or reason to stay, which we're not sure that he did that on this call, certainly not in the call that we heard, the part of the call we heard. He didn't offer him any rewards, a discount, or promotion. So the pushiness is, unfortunately, though, it's pretty common. They don't want you to leave.
They don't want you to leave. And I've heard, especially with cable companies, if you say you're going to cancel it, they will give you incentives. When you're right, we don't know whether or not that was the case here. What about some of the information that he asks for? I mean, he asks, hey, do you know where you're going to go? I mean, this is information that you don't have to give. But
not at all.
Separate from this, there are times where customer service representatives ask you for personal information. So is there ever a rule of, like, what you should never, ever give to a customer service representative?
I would say if you're not sure about where your information is going, you should never give your social security number. Sometimes they will ask for verifying information, like if you don't remember your account number, you can't find it on a document. They'll sometimes ask you things like that, usually the last 4 digits of your social, your mother's maiden name. Those questions are normal, but I would say your full social security number, if you're uncomfortable, the best rule is just not to give it out, and they can find a way to work around it.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Let's talk about some tips for people. There's got to be a way to handle these people. I've always been told always ask for a representative as far as a manager or something like that. What are some of your top tips?
That's always something you can do. If they don't, if they refuse to transfer, you can just keep asking. You just have to do what this guy did in Stonewall. It's also unclear if he did ask to elevate to a supervisor, but as long as you're polite, there's no reason they should refuse you. And if they do, then they just got another customer service fiasco on their hands.
What are some of the other tips you have? I understand that you suggest sort of trying a local service center and things like that.
Well, if you're really desperate to cancel your service, these phone representatives want to keep you on the line. They don't want to have to disconnect you because that's bad for their job. So if you're really dedicated to it, you just go to where, you know, your local Comcast or your local cable provider, and you bring in your box and you say, I'm disconnecting the service.
And
this is it. It's an inconvenience. You'd rather just be able to make a phone call, but sometimes that's not the case.
Well, I understand you also say, real quick, you say file a detailed complaint. Do you do that with the company headquarters or something like that once you've gotten the representative's names, maybe his employee number?
You can always do that. You can file a complaint letter. Just make sure that you're polite, reasonable, you're stating your demands, you're not yelling at anybody. You catch more bees with honey, I think they say, than vinegar. So as long as you're a good consumer and a good customer, that'll go a long way.
All right. Well, Mary Beth Quirk from consumerist.com, thanks so much for the advice. You take care.
You're welcome. Thanks.